Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carl Hutcherson. I am the director of this evening's production. I would like to welcome you to Liberty Center Association for the Arts Quarantine Theater and today's production of Mark Twain's The £1,000,000 Banknote. Thank you for watching, and please enjoy the show.
Is that a real £1,000,000 note? Why, I've only ever heard of those. I didn't think any of them still existed.
Oh, it is quite real. The Bank of England only ever printed 2 of them for circulation. The first was destroyed. This is the other.
How did you happen to come by it?
That's a pretty long story, but if you happen to be interested in hearing it, I happen to be in a talkative mood.
Well, sir, any story that involves a £1,000,000 note sounds like a rather interesting story. Please, do go on.
All right, but to get the all of it, we need to take a brief detour.
One should always, like a raconteur, tell the story in their own time.
When I was 27 years old, I found myself cast ashore in London with only $1 in my pocket. That dollar had been enough to house and feed me for 1 day, and then I found myself homeless and with absolutely no means of finding any sustenance. After nearly 48 hours in this condition, I found myself standing alongside a road staring at a luscious big pear, minus 1 bite, that had been carelessly thrown into the gutter. I stopped, of course, and fastened my desiring eye on that muddy treasure. My mouth watered for it, my stomach craved it. My whole being begged for it, but every time I made a move to get it, some passing eye detected me. And of course I straightened up and looked indifferent. This same thing kept happening and happening, and I could not get the pear. I was just getting desperate enough to brave all the shame and to seize it, when a door behind me was opened. And a gentleman spoke out of it, saying,
"Step in here, please."
I was shown into a sumptuous room where a couple of elderly gentlemen were sitting. They had just finished their breakfast. The sight of the remains almost overpowered me.
Good morning, my good man. I'm sure you're wondering why we brought you in here. My brother and I are looking for someone to perform a task for us, and we decided that you might be suitable to our needs. But first, would you please tell us a little about yourself?
Benjamin, I'm quite sure that he will do.
We should get the gentleman's story first to confirm our suspicions.
Quite right, quite right. If you have a few moments to spare, would you mind telling us a bit about yourself and how you came to be in your current situation?
My situation?
Yes, sir. How you came to be in your current state. You see, we've been sitting here all morning, watching people walk past the window, trying to find the perfect person.
We've seen many faces go past that were quite honest enough, but frankly weren't intelligent.
Many that were quite intelligent, but had more of a leaning towards politics or the legal profession than towards honesty.
Several passed that seemed poor enough, but were known by one or the other of us, and therefore completely unsuitable for our needs. Every single person had some defect.
Until you came along, and we both felt immediately that you appeared perfect for our needs.
Your clothes are of a decent cut and well tailored. This implies some financial success, which requires intelligence.
But your clothes are worn threadbare and tattered in places that indicate very recent hard work, which applies honesty and humility.
You are a complete stranger to the both of us, and based on your mannerisms, we believe you to be American, which means we would be quite unknown to you.
And the intimate matter in which that you are watching the half-eaten pear in the gutter implies that you are, at this moment, quite destitute. And that brings you to this moment.
So please tell us about yourself. We have a position that will be worth your time if we find your answers to be sufficient.
I am unsure if I should be flattered or offended, sir, but since I find myself in an unpleasant situation, I'll chance that my story will satisfy you. I have until very recently been a mining broker's clerk in San Francisco, and am an expert in all details of stock traffic.
Quite intelligent then, Abel. Well spotted. Do go on.
I am alone in this world, and have had nothing to depend upon but my wits and my clean reputation. But these have been setting my feet in the road too, and not a fortune then relative comfort, and I have been quite content with my prospects.
And What brings you to your present state? Your appearance is not of one well versed in the stock trade.
My time was always my own on Saturdays, and I'd been accustomed to put it in on a little sailboat on the bay. One day, I ventured too far and was carried out to sea.
Bad luck, old champ. How'd you survive?
Just at nightfall, when hope was gone, I was picked up by a small brig, which was bound for London. They made me work my passage without pay as a common sailor.
Hard, honest work, and plainly and honestly told. Well noted, brother.
When I stepped ashore in London, my clothes were ragged and shabby, and I had only $1 in my pocket. This money fed and sheltered me for 24 hours. During the next 24 hours, I went without food and shelter, and this is a good portion of the distance into the next 24 hours.
Intelligent, honest, a hard worker, quite unknown to both of us.
And completely penniless. Benjamin, I am certain he will be suitable.
I concur. Sir, you'll be able to answer our purpose perfectly.
Thank you, sir. May I know what service I may provide?
This will explain all. Please do not open it here. Take it to your lodgings, open it there, and consider our offer. Do not be hasty or rash. When you have decided, please return here and we can discuss it. Now, my good man, if you'll please excuse us, we have much to discuss.
And with that, the butler materialized and ushered me back out to the street.
Just like that, you were dismissed?
Quite so. I felt that I was being made the butt of some practical joke, and yet obliged to put up with it. Not being in circumstances to resent affronts from rich and strong folk. And what was worse, the pair that I had been observing so preciously was now absent. So I had lost that by this unlucky business. And the thought of it did not soften my feelings toward those men. As soon as I was out of sight of that house, I opened my envelope and saw that it contained money. My opinion of those people changed, I can tell you. I lost not a moment, but shoved note and money into my vest pocket and broke for the nearest cheap eating house. Well, how did I eat?
So at least some small benefit had come from the exchange.
Now, something had been happening there a little before, which I did not know about until a good many days afterwards. Those two old brothers had been having a pretty hot argument a couple of days before, and had ended by agreeing to decide it by a bet.
It is the English way of settling everything.
As I mentioned before, the Bank of England once issued 2 of those giants to be used for a special purpose connected with some public transaction with a foreign country. For some reason or other, only one of these had been used and canceled. The other still lay in the vaults of the bank. Well, the brothers, chatting along, happened to get to wondering what might be the fate of a perfectly honest and intelligent stranger, who should be turned adrift in London without a friend, and with no money but that £1 million banknote, and no way to account for his being in possession of it.
Why, he'll starve to death.
No, an intelligent and honest man will always manage. Even if he has to cash in the note, he'll only use what is required and return the balance.
He won't be able to exchange the note to purchase even a crust of bread. There isn't anywhere in all of London to use a bill of that size except the Bank of England. But even if he sets foot inside that hallowed institution with that note, he'll be arrested on the spot.
Abel, there is only one way to settle this. I propose a wager. £20,000. I say that the right person can live for 30 days with that note and stay out of jail.
Not honestly, he couldn't.
Do you accept the wager?
Quite so.
Very good. I'll secure the note tomorrow. Have one of the clerks write a note to explain the particulars, and tomorrow we shall select a person capable of this challenge.
He must be acceptable to both of us.
Certainly.
And that was how I found myself, having stuffed myself with all manner of glorious food that cheap eating house had to offer. When at last, I couldn't hold anymore, I took out my money and unfolded it, took one glimpse and nearly fainted. That £1 million note was in my possession and was the only money I had in the world. I must have sat there stunned and blinking at that note as much as a minute before I came rightly to myself again.
Is everything to your liking, sir?
Oh, yes, sir. However, I'm quite afraid I don't have anything small to pay for my meal. Can you bring me change for this, sir?
Of course. One moment. My deepest apologies, sir. I'm afraid I'm unable to break this, sir.
I'm afraid it's the only cash I have, sir. Would you be willing to hold it as a bond against my bill until I come back?
1,000 apologies, sir. It is a beautiful thing to look at, sir, but I daren't hold on to it.
I'm sorry if it is an inconvenience, but I must insist. Please change it. I haven't anything else.
Oh, sir, that isn't any matter. One of your means can't be expected to carry anything small around. I trust your word until you're able to return.
But, sir, I must insist. It may be some time before I'm able to return to your neighborhood.
My good man, that is of no consequence. I can wait for as long as you need. Moreover, you can have anything you want anytime you choose. Let the account run as long as you please. I hope I am not afraid to trust the word of a gentleman as rich as you are, merely because you choose to dress in such a fashion to play pranks on the public. But, sir, please do not be discreet. There are customers entering who may not be as honest as I am.
Harris practically bowed me out of the restaurant. I started straight for that house and those brothers.
Please, I must see the brothers again. They've made a mistake.
I'm sorry, that is quite impossible.
It is impertinent. I must see them.
They are gone.
Gone? Gone where?
On a journey.
But whereabouts?
To the continent, I think.
The continent?
Yes, sir.
Which way? By what route?
I can't say, sir.
When will they be back?
In a month, they said.
A month? Oh, this is awful. Give me some sort of idea of how to get a word to them. It is of the most importance.
I can't indeed. I have no idea where they've gone, sir.
Then I must see some member of the family.
Family's away, too. Been abroad months, in Egypt and India, I think.
Man, there's been an immense mistake made. They'll be back before night. Will you tell them I've been here and that I will keep coming till it is all made right, and they needn't be afraid?
I'll tell them, if they come back, but I am not expecting them. They said you would be here in an hour to make inquiries, but I must tell you it's all right. They'll be here on time and expect you.
So I had to give it up and go away. What a riddle it all was. I was like to lose my mind. They would be here on time. What could that mean? You see, I had forgotten the letter that was inside that envelope. Eventually, I came to my sense and read it.
You are an intelligent and honest man, as one may see by your face. We conceive you to be poor and a stranger. Enclosed you will find a sum of money. It is lent to you for 30 days without interest. Report at this house at the end of that time. I have a bet on you. If I win, you shall have any situation that is in my gift, any, that is, that you should be able to prove yourself familiar with and content to fill.
No signature, no address, no date. Maybe those men mean me well. Maybe they mean me ill. No way to decide that. Let it go. They've got a game or a scheme or an experiment of some kind on hand. No way to determine what it is. Let it go. There's a bet on me. No way to find out what it is. Let it go. If I ask the Bank of England to place this bill to the credit of the men it belongs to, they'll do it, for they know him. Although I don't, but they will ask me how I came in possession of it. And if I tell the truth, they'll put me in the asylum, naturally, and a lie will land me in jail. The same result would follow if I tried to bank the bill anywhere or to borrow money on it. I have got to carry this bill around until those men come back, whether I want to or not. I can't even give it away. Those brothers are safe. Even if I lose their bill or burn it, they are still safe because the bank will make them whole. But meantime, I've got to do a month suffering without wages or profit. Unless I help win the bet and receive the situation that I am promised. Men of their sort have situations in their gift that are worth having. First things first, if I am to survive an entire month only on my wits, I can no longer look a complete vagabond. This shop, they may have some mismatched, misfit suits that would, at a minimum, be more presentable than these tattered rags. Excuse me, sir. Would you happen to have any misfit or damaged suits that have been abandoned by former patrons?
Go check with Todd.
10 to you, President.
Excuse me, sir. Would you happen to have any misfit or damaged suits that would be interested in being rid of?
We've got a reject over there. Fabric puckered when we inserted the lining in one of the sleeves is 2 inches longer than the other. It's likely 3 sizes too large for you, but it's a bit better than the rags you brought in with you.
The style, fit, and workmanship will be quite sufficient. It would be an accommodation to me if you could wait some days for the money. I haven't any small change about me.
Of course you haven't. Oh, you haven't? Well, of course, I didn't expect it. I'd only expect gentlemen like you to carry large change.
My friend, you shouldn't judge a stranger always by the clothes he wears. I'm quite able to pay for the suit. I simply didn't wish to put you through the trouble of changing a large note.
I didn't mean any particular harm, but as long as rebukes are going, I might say it wasn't quite your affair to jump to the conclusion that we couldn't change any note that you might happen to be carrying around. On the contrary, we can.
Oh, very well. I apologize.
Well, what's up? What's the problem? What's wanting?
There isn't any trouble. I'm waiting for my change.
Oh, come. Get him his change, Todd. Get him his change.
Get him his change? It's easy to say, sir, but look at the bill yourself.
Oh, my good gracious. That suit will never do. We have one here that's quite satisfactory for you gentlemen such as yourself. Sell a Cedric millionaire such as an unsuspicious suit as that. Todd, you are a full-born fool. Always doing something like this that drives every millionaire away from this place. Because you can't tell a millionaire from a chap. You never could. Here it is. Please get those rags off, sir, and throw them in the fire. And do me a favor. Put on the shirts and the suit. It's just the same. The very thing. Plain, rich, modest, made to order for a 4-inch print. He had to leave it with us and take the morning suit because his mother was going to die. There! Trousers are right. They fit you to a charm, sir. Now the waistcoat. Aha! Right again. Now the coat, Lord. Look at that. Now, perfect! The whole thing. I never saw a triumph in all my experience.
Excellent. This fits well, and I rather like the stylings.
Quite right, sir. Quite right. It'll do for a makeshift, I'm bound to say. But wait till you see what we'll got up for you in your own measure. Come, Todd. Book and pin. Get at it. Dress suits, morning suits, shirts, vests, braces, greatcoats.
But, my dear sir, I can't give these orders unless you can wait indefinitely or change the bill.
Indefinitely. It's a weak word, sir. It's a weak word. Eternally, that's the word, sir. Todd, rush these things through and send them to the gentleman's address without any waste of time. Let the minor customer wait. Sit down the gentleman's address and...
I'm changing my quarters. I will drop in and leave the new address.
Quite right, sir. Quite right. One moment. Let me show you out, sir. There. Good day, sir. Good day.
Well, don't you see what was bound to happen? I drifted naturally into buying whatever I wanted and asking for change. Within a week, I was sumptuously equipped with all needful comforts and luxuries, and was housed in an expensive private hotel in Hanover Square. And as was natural, I became one of the notorieties of the metropolis of the world. You cannot take up a newspaper, English, Scotch, or Irish, without finding in it one or more references to the vest pocket million-pounder and his latest doings and sayings. At first, in these mentions, I was at the bottom of the personal gossip column. Next, I was listed above the knights. Next, above the baronets. Next, above the barons, and so on and so on, climbing steadily as my notoriety augmented until I reached the highest altitude possible. And there I remained, taking precedence of all dukes not royal, and of all ecclesiastics, except the primate of all England. About the 10th day of my fame, I went to fulfill my duty to my flag by paying my respects to the American ambassador.
Mr. Henry Adams, I do say it's the most wonderful to finally meet your acquaintance. What I should say, a man of your stature should have visited long before now.
Do forgive me. My situation was inconvenient until quite recently.
Nonsense. It is the responsibility of every American of means to present himself to the local ambassador when traveling through. And it is the duty of the ambassador to introduce wealthy Americans to stuck-up English gentry. We have reminded them that they have gentry of our own.
On that note, I must apologize again. It seems I have quite made myself known to the aristocracy in rather unorthodox fashion.
Unorthodox, yes, but completely and thoroughly entertaining. I will forgive your transgressions on one condition.
If it is in my power, it shall be done.
I'm hosting a dinner party this evening for several local dignitaries. I insist that you attend as a guest of honor. There's a seat made for a vacant by a sudden illness of a lord or something other, and the balance of the guests would find amusement at attending a dinner with the current talk of the tabloids.
It will be my pleasure. And now, by your leave, sir, and I shall return to my hotel and prepare for the evening.
Before you leave, perhaps was your father Joseph Daniel Adams?
Yes, sir, he was, but he died almost 20 years ago. Why do you ask?
Joseph Daniel Adams was one of my best friends from childhood. He and I were even roommates during part of our time at Yale. We kept in close contact until his untimely death. I saw your name in the papers, and it struck my memories of Joseph, having a son named Henry. When I learned that you recently from San Francisco, it seemed too strong of a coincidence.
I was quite young when he died, but I do recall my father mentioning a good friend of his named George from time to time.
That would be me. Now that I've established who are I, and I cannot in good conscience allow you to continue residing a hotel, no matter how well appointed. You shall move in here tomorrow and stay as a member of the family until your travels take you somewhere else, or desire permanent residency in this fair city.
That would make your charade a bit more complicated, wouldn't it?
Quite the opposite, in fact. I was more than willing. I was glad. I knew that my situation was increasingly precarious. When the crash should come, he might somehow be able to save me from total destruction. I couldn't venture to unbosom myself to him at this late date. I was in too deep to be risking revelations to so new a friend. But when the truth was out, he might have some thought or other on how to avoid ruin, or worse.
Had you gotten that far out of your death?
In fairness, no. At least not as I looked at it. Because you see, with all my borrowing, I was carefully keeping within my anticipated salary. My estimate of the salary was $600 for the first year, and so on up year by year, till I struck some upper figure by proved merit. At present, my indebtedness represented only £300 borrowed money. The other £300 might keep in my purchases. I believe my second year's salary would carry me through the rest of the month, if I went on being cautious and economical.
Very smart, but also very risky. What if your new employer didn't feel you were worth £600 in your first year?
Precisely why I was glad to make a fast friend of the American ambassador. But as it turns out, the dinner party he insisted I attend was the turning point of the month.
Were you found out?
Not as such, but let's not get in front of the story. It was a lovely dinner party of 14.
The Duke and Duchess of Shoreditch, their daughter Lady Anne Grace Eleanor Celeste, and so forth, de Bohun, their Earl and Countess of Newgate, Viscount Cheapside, Lord and Lady Blatherskite.
Begging your pardon, sir, but those titles can't possibly be correct.
The English have such outlandish naming habits that I'm quite surprised that you doubt it. But no, I have long since forgotten the attendees of that dinner, save for a few select people. Of course, there were some untitled people of both sexes. The ambassador and his wife and daughter, and his daughter's visiting friend, an English girl of 22.
Miss Portia Langham,
Whom I fell in love with in 2 minutes, and she with me. I could see it without glasses. Then the final latecomer.
Mr. Lloyd Hastings.
Pardon me, I beg your pardon, sir. I thought I knew you.
What? Why? Do you know me, old fellow?
No, are you the
vast-pocketed monster? I am indeed. Don't be afraid to call me by my nickname. I am used to it.
Well, this is a surprise. Once or twice I've seen your own name coupled with a nickname, but it never occurred to me that you could be the Henry Adams referred to. Why, it isn't 6 months since you were clerking away for Blake Hopkins in Frisco on a salary, and sitting up nights on an extra allowance, helping me arrange and verify the Gould and Curry extension papers and statistics. The idea of your being in London and a vast millionaire and a colossal celebrity, why, it's the Arabian Nights come again. Man, I can't take it all in. Can't realize it. Give me time to settle the whirl in my head.
The fact is, Lloyd, you are no worse off than I am. I can't realize it myself.
Dear me, it is sunny now, isn't it? Why, it's just 3 months today since we went to the Miners restaurant. And...
No, the Watchier.
Right, it was the Watchier. Went there at 2 in the morning and had a chop and coffee after a hard 6 hours grind over those extension papers. And I tried to persuade you to come to London with me and offer to get leave of your absence for you and pay all your expenses and give you something over if I succeeded in making the sale, and you would not listen to me. Said I wouldn't succeed, and you couldn't afford to lose the run of business and be no event of time getting the hang of things again when you got back home. And yet, here you are. How odd it all is. How did you happen to come? And whatever did give you this incredible start?
Oh, just an accident. It's a long story. A romance. A body may say. I'll tell you all about it, but not now.
When?
The end of this month.
That's more than a fortnight yet. It's too much of a strain on a person's curiosity. Make it a week.
I can't. You'll know why by and by. But how's the trade getting along?
You were a true prophet, Hal. A true prophet. I wish I hadn't come. I don't want to talk about it.
But you must. You must come and stop with me tonight when we leave here and tell me all about it.
Oh, may I? Are you in earnest?
Yes. I want to hear the whole story. Every word.
I'm so grateful just to find a human interest once more, in some voice and in some eye. in me and my affairs of mine. After what I've been through here, Lord, I could go down on my knees for it.
Brighten up, Lloyd. The festivities are about to begin. Everyone is making to head down for dinner.
He gripped my hand hard and braced up, and was all right and lively after that for the dinner, which happened in the usual English custom. That is to say, it didn't. The matter of precedence being what it was, it couldn't be determined who was of the greater rank, and therefore no one could find their appropriate seat, or possibly know to whom they were supposed to give deference.
Shall I have the head of the table? I have rank of all ministers, not a monarch.
My good sir, I beg to differ. Per the gossips columns, I rank all dukes, not royal. The head chair is clearly mine.
Why, sir, it is commonly known that I am a descendant from William the Conqueror. My precedence is established by my birthright, not by a column in the newspaper.
Sir, if we are to take account of our ancestry, then I am in the direct line from the Garden of Eden, as proven by my surname. Your provenance may be in the same lineage, but is merely a cadet branch.
Anyone of proper birth would place the recency of my lineage above such a claim as yours.
Any of worth would note that your precedence is unable to even claim the legitimacy of its own lineage, where mine is direct to Eden.
This went on for a short time longer with no agreement to be made. Everyone retired back to drawing room and agreed that it was the best dinner they had witnessed in quite a good number of parties. Ambassador Bancroft arranged for a lunch plate of sardines and strawberries, and everyone grouped themselves and stood around eating until tables were brought, and we all played cribbage.
Do you play?
I am able, but not well versed.
If you care to turn your hand, the rates are 6 pence a game.
Can we not just play for amusement?
Oh, my good sir. The English never play any game strictly for amusement. If we are unable to win something or lose something, and it does not matter which, we do not see the point.
Miss Langham, if you are sitting at the table, there is a very compelling reason to join the game.
And a compliment of that nature will earn you a great deal, Mr. Adams. But do not expect my play to be reflective of my courtesies.
I would never expect such a transgression.
We had a lovely time, Miss Langham and I. I was so bewitched with her that I couldn't count my hands if they went above a double sequence. And when I struck home, I never discovered it. I should have lost every game, only the girl did the same, she being in just my condition. Consequently, neither of us ever got out, or cared to wonder why we didn't. We only just knew we were happy, and didn't wish to know anything else. And I told her, I did indeed tell her I loved her. And she blushed till her hair turned red. But she said she liked it. Oh, there was never such an evening.
Mr. Adams, I feel I have learned a good deal about you from the papers, but they always fail to mention the business that brings you to London.
Miss Langham, I will tell my story to the completion for you on one condition.
My papa would be very upset if I agreed to anything without being aware of the terms first. But to learn your story, I'm willing to enter into negotiations.
Miss Langham, my terms are simple, but one. Call me Henry.
My dearest Mr. Adams, I'm afraid that I cannot agree to your terms as they stand. I must add an additional corollary that you will in fact be required to refer to me by the name of Portia.
Miss Langham, my dearest Portia, I find your terms to be acceptable.
Well then, my darling Henry, please do fulfill the terms of our bargain.
My love, the full truth is I am quite penniless in the world save for the single £1,000,000 banknote that has generated all of my fame. Unless I am able to thrive to the end of the month and maintain my freedom from jail and the possession of the banknote, I shall be completely without any means and will be noted as less than a common beggar.
Please do not mistake my youth for a lack of intelligence. I feel that you were simply making amusement at my expense.
Portia, if I may continue to use your name, if it weren't for a casual wager between two gentlemen by the name of Abel and Benjamin Chambers, then I quite hazardly stumbled into, I would likely have starved to death 10 days ago.
Henry, your story has certainly become something that I must hear to the end. Although I will warn you, if I feel that you are being disingenuous due to my age or my sex or my status, I will sever our agreement and our conversation. As I am quite enjoying our conversation and our evening together, I beg you not to act in a manner that would require the terminus of these events.
Then I talked low and told her the whole history right from the start, and it nearly killed her laughing. What in the nation she could find to laugh about, I couldn't see. But there it was. Every half minute, some new detail would fetch her, and I would have to stop as much as a minute and a half to give her a chance to settle down again. Why, she laughed herself lame. She did indeed. I never saw anything like it, so I loved her all the more, seeing she could be so cheerful when there wasn't anything to be cheerful about.
If my plan holds true, it would be the course of 2 or 3 years, 3 lean years before my salary may catch up to the debt that I have currently incurred. But I disarray that if you would be willing to have my hand, I would gladly work through those years till we are able to be in comfort again.
I don't mind the possibility of hard years, Henry, but you must promise to be ever more careful with your expenses. You must trench no more into your 3rd year's salary than you already have.
I have been very modest about my potential and estimated the potential salary on the low end of what I hope to acquire. My one fear is that my status shall be learned before I am able to make good on the gentleman's wager, and I shall fall victim to the creditor's dissatisfaction.
On the contrary, you have established your position and societal standing quite well. If you refrain from sharing this story with anyone else, your ruse will easily carry the month. Past that, if our creditors are satisfied with the terms you'll be able to arrange, no matter what will come of it. My concern is that you are overestimating the generosity of the gentlemen that have so callously left you in this theater. What if they feel you are not worth the amount you require?
Portia, dear, would you mind going with me that day when I confront those old gentlemen?
No, if my being there with you would help hearten you. But would it be quite proper, do you think?
No, I don't know if that would. In fact, I'm afraid it wouldn't. But, you see, there's so much dependent upon it that...
Then I'll go anyway, proper or improper. Oh, I shall be so happy to think I'm helping.
Helping, dear? Why, you'll be doing it all. You're so beautiful and so lovely and so winning that with you, there I can pile our salary up till I break those good old fellows, and they'll never have the heart to struggle.
You wicked flatterer. There isn't a word of truth in what you say. But still, I'll go with you. Maybe it will teach you not to expect other people to look with your eyes.
May I interpret that with her assistance in this matter dispelled some of your doubts and lifted your confidence?
You may judge by this fact. Privately, I raised my salary to $1,200 the first year on the spot, but I didn't tell her. I saved it for a surprise. All the way home, I was in the clouds, Hastings talking. I'm not hearing a word. When he and I entered my parlor, he brought me to myself with his fervent appreciations of my manifold comforts and luxuries.
Let me just stand here a little and look my fill. Dear me, it's a palace. It's just a palace. And in it, everything a body could desire, including coal fire and supper standing ready. Henry, it doesn't merely make me realize how rich you are. It makes me realize to the bone, to the marrow, how poor I am. How poor I am. And how miserable, how defeated, routed, annihilated. Henry, the mere drippings of your daily income would.
Oh, my daily income? Here, down with this hot scotch and cheer up your old soul. Here's with you. Or no, you're hungry. Sit down and
Not a bite for me. I'm past it. I can't eat these days. But I'll drink with you till I drop. Come.
barrel for barrel. I'm with you. Now, then Lloyd, unreel your story while I brew.
Unreel it? What? Again?
Again? What do you mean by that?
Why, I mean, do you want to hear it over again?
Do I want to hear it over again? This is a puzzler. Wait, don't take any more of that liquid. You don't need it.
Look here, Henry, you alarm me. Didn't I tell you the whole story on the way here?
You?
Yes, me.
I'll be hanged if I heard a word of it.
Henry, this is a serious thing. It troubles me. What did you take yonder up at the minister's?
I took the dearest girl in this world prisoner.
You mean that attractive young thing you were playing cribbage with all evening?
The very same. I am afraid that we are quite besottled with each other.
Well, I for one couldn't be happier. The two of you were a match set all evening. I must admit I was more than a little concerned when I saw how poorly you were playing cribbage, that she might lighten you of your whole fortune, 6 pence at a time.
Well, sir, if my senses have been about me, and I might have shared your concern, but it very much appears that my opponent shared my state of mind because she played equally as poorly.
In that case, I will happily unravel my story again, albeit a slightly abridged version in this telling. I came to England with a grand opportunity to sell the gold and Curry Extension silver mine for the locators. They insisted their payment for the mine was to be $1 million, and that every penny above that I could keep. This part you already knew and warned me about.
Yes, but do go on.
I have spent a full 30 days and 20 hours a day trying to sell the mine. I have pulled every wire I know of. I have expended every single favor earned and pressed on every single soul that I have met since setting foot in London. I have invested every penny I have in the world, but not one single capitalist is interested. My option to sell the mines runs out in 2 weeks' time. With the forfeiture, I'm, in a word, ruined. Henry, you can save me. You can save me, and you're the only one in the universe that can. Will you do it? Won't you do it?
Tell me how. Speak out, my boy.
Give me $1 million in my passage home for my option. You know the mine is fully worth the asking price. You could even sell shares of your own over time. Don't, please don't refuse.
I was in a kind of agony. I felt that right there in that moment, I had to end the charade. I opened my mouth and started to come out with the words, Lloyd, I'm a pauper myself, absolutely penniless, and in debt. But before nary a sound was generated, a white-hot idea came flaming through my head, and the words that sounded were,
I will save you, Lloyd.
Then I'm already saved. God be merciful to you forever. If ever I...
Let me finish, Lloyd. I will save you, but not in that way, for that would not be fair to you. After your hard work and the risks you've run, I don't need to buy mines. I can keep my capital moving in a commercial center like London. Without that, it's what I'm at. all the time. But here's what I'll do. I know all about the mine, of course. I know its immense value and can swear to it if anybody wishes it. You shall sell out inside of the fortnight for the 3 million cash, using my name freely, and we'll divide, share, and share alike.
You know, he would have danced the furniture to kindling wood in his insane joy and broken everything on the place if I hadn't tripped him up and tied him.
I may use your name, think of it. Man, they'll flock in droves, those rich Londoners. They'll fight for that stock. I'm a made man. I'm a made man forever, and I'll never forget you as long as I live.
In less than 24 hours, London was abuzz.
A Mr. Lloyd Hastings claims that you are familiar with him and will vouchsafe the mine he is selling in his whole endeavor.
Yes, I told him to refer you to me. I know the man, and I know the mine. His character is above reproach, and the mine is worth far more than he asks for it.
Meantime, I spent all my evenings at the Ambassador's with Portia. I didn't say a word to her about the mine. I saved it for a surprise. We talked salary. Never anything but salary and love. Sometimes love, sometimes salary. Sometimes love and salary together. When the month was up, my intuition had proven true. Lloyd had sold every share of the mine. I had $1 million to my credit in the London and County Bank. And he was fixed in the same way, dressed at my level best. I picked up my precious, and we started back to that house on Portland Place.
My dearest Portia, do you know that you are so excited and anxious that it makes you intolerably beautiful?
Henry, do be serious.
Dearest, the way you look, it's a crime to strike for a salary, a single penny under 3,000 a year.
Henry, you'll ruin us. Why, those brothers might not even be there. This may be some cruel joke just to see how far they can tease an unsuspecting fool.
Don't you be afraid. I went by their apartments before I picked you up. They were very much at home. And besides, I've spent a good bit of time learning who my future employers may be. All accounts show them to be quite well respected and fully on the up and up. I'm certain to receive any amount that I ask for. It'll all come out right.
Oh, please remember that if we ask for too much, we may get no salary at all. And then what will become of us, with no way in the world to earn our living?
We were ushered in by that same servant, and there they were, the two old gentlemen. Of course they were surprised to see that wonderful creature with me.
Mr. Henry Adams and guest.
I'm sorry, what?
It's all right, gentlemen. She is my future stay and helpmate. Please allow me to introduce Miss Portia Langham. Miss Langham, this is Mr. Abel Chambers and his brother, Mr. Benjamin Chambers.
It is quite the pleasure, Miss Langham.
Please, do sit down. Miss, if I may beg of your patience a few moments, we three have a small amount of business to attend to which, once accomplished, will allow greater freedom of conversation.
Please do go on.
Gentlemen, I am ready to report.
We are glad to hear it. For now, we can decide the bet which my brother Abel and I made. If you have won for me, you shall have any situation in my gift. Have you the £1 million note?
Here it is, sir.
I've won. Now what do you say, brother?
I say he did survive, and I've lost £20,000. I never would have believed it.
I've a further report to make, and a pretty long one. I want you to let me come soon and detail my whole month's history, and I promise you it is worth hearing. Meantime, take a look at that.
What man? certificate of deposit for £200,000? Is it yours?
Mine. I earned it by 30 days. Judicious use of that little loan you let me have. And the only use I made of it was to buy trifles and offer the bill in change.
Come, this is astonishing. It's incredible, man.
Never mind. I'll prove it. Don't take my word unsupported.
Henry, is that really your money? Have you been fibbing to me?
I have indeed, dearie. But you'll forgive me. I know.
Don't you be so sure. You're a naughty thing to deceive me so.
Oh, you'll get over it. Sweetheart, you'll get over it. It was only fun. You know? Come, let's be going.
But wait. The situation, I want to give you the situation.
Well, I am just as grateful as I can be. But really, I don't want one.
But you can have the very choicest one in my gift.
Thanks again, with all my heart. But I don't even want that one.
Henry, I'm ashamed of you. You don't half think the good gentleman. May I do it for you?
Indeed you shall, dear. If you can improve it.
With that, she walked to Mr. Benjamin's chambers, got up in his lap, put her arm around his neck and his beak. Then, when shouted with laughter, dumbfounded.
Papa, he has said you haven't a situation in your gift that he'd take, and I feel just as hurt as... Well...
My darling, is that your papa?
Yes, he's my step-papa, and the dearest one that ever was. You understand now, don't you? I was able to laugh when you told me the trouble and worry Papa's and Uncle Abel's scheme was giving you.
Oh, my dearest, dear sir, I want to take back what I said. You have got a situation open that I want.
Name it.
Son-in-law.
Well. But if you haven't ever served in that capacity, you of course can't furnish recommendations of a sort to satisfy the conditions of the contract. And so...
Try me. Oh, do, I beg of you. Only just try me 30 or 40 years. And if...
Oh well, all right. It's but a little thing to ask. Take her along.
Happy, we too. There are not words enough in the unabridged to describe it. And when London got the whole history a day or two later of my month's adventures with that banknote and how they ended, did London talk and have a good time? Yes. My Portia's papa took that friendly and hospitable bill back to the Bank of England and cashed it. Then the bank canceled it and made him a present of it. And he gave it to us at our wedding. And it has always hung in its frame in the sacredest place in our home ever since. For it gave me my Portia, but for it I could not have remained in London, would not have appeared at the ambassadors, never should have met her. And so I always say, yes, it's £1 million, as you see, but it never made but one purchase in its life, and then got the article for only about 1/10 part of its value.
Mr. Adams, that is quite the enjoyable story. It has been a wonderful evening, but I am afraid I must beg your pardon. I must be going.
No, thank you, ma'am, for taking the time to visit with an old man. There aren't many around that haven't been visited upon with my story many times over. I am always grateful when someone stays through to the end.
I, sir, for one, found it most entertaining, and I will be encouraging others to come and ask you about it. However, I truly must be going.
Do come again soon, and please give the Queen, your mother, all my best.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank the cast for this evening's production. We have Kaden Green playing the narrator, Old Henry Adams. We have Chase Stone playing young Henry Adams. We have Grace Gunn playing Portia Langham. We have Sarah Hinkson playing Lloyd Hastings. Arden Schupp playing Abel Chambers. Gabriel Sokolowski playing Benjamin Chambers. Lillibeth Sokolowski playing Princess Louise. Vanessa Rubio playing Giles and the Duke of Shoreditch. Madison Phillips playing Harris, Todd, and Reginald. And Savannah Simon playing Whitby and Ambassador George Bancroft. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this evening's production. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving a donation to the Liberty Center Association for the Arts. I would also like to invite you to come to a talkback session that we will be having in just a few minutes. We will be ending this live stream and then starting a new one. So please join us in a few minutes. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.